You're going to keep me blushing this whole time, aren't you?
Yep, we're live. Hey, everybody, it's Greg here with doing a little special interview. Actually, I'm getting interviewed by Tanika Kirby. She is a life coach. What else? Life coach. She tries to help people evolve and become, maybe become the essence of who they want to be. And she is going to interview me, which I am very, very flattered on, regarding my book. And we're going to talk about some sexual dynamics, chemistry aspects, and also, of course, let's face it, relationship stuff. So please pay attention, listen up, and hopefully you can learn. And I'm sure we're going to laugh. If I know Tanika, myself, we're going to laugh. And so enjoy the show. And hopefully you can learn, of course. That's the main thing. I want to help people. As always, as everybody knows, I want to help people learn, grow, and evolve, have the best relationship they have, not only with their partner, but also with themselves. Okay? Tanika Kirby, take it away.
Hi, Greg. Thank you so much. I am so excited. There we go. I was trying to find this, so I'm doing tech support right now.
It should be.
I was trying to find it so we could share it.
It should be.
I got it.
It is public, so you should be able to share it, I hope, on your timeline. So
I am still working on that right now, so everybody's going to just have to bear with me a second. I'm a good multitasker, but not that good. So while I do this, though, I was so excited. I was invited to watch one of your lives one day and I found that, we have a lot of similar principles in what we talk about and teach and what we're trying to do to help folks in relationships or those single trying to get into relationships. And then I just kind of fell in love with your work. And then I realized you had a book. Oh, the book.
I'm blushing. I'm blushing. Sorry.
So for those on my crew, on my end of things watching, Greg is a licensed professional counselor. I'm reading. Okay, that's how cheesy I am. In a private practice in Detroit, Michigan, his practice is called The Art of Relationship. Oh my way, people are trying to interrupt, and I blocked this all out. I thought I did. Anyways, he's also known as LoveGuru, which sparks an interest, I think, for anybody. Anyways, he has a vast knowledge in helping clients through traumatic events, along with grief and loss. He's flattered and humbled to be helping others, and he hosts his own internet-based radio show, The Art of Relationship Show, which I think we're on right now, right, Greg?
It might be that same format, but I'm not calling it The Art of Relationship Show because this is your thing.
This is me interviewing you on your own show. How's that? I just lost my headset.
Yeah, we could do that.
We can call it whatever you want.
It's your thing.
So I read your book, for those catching up.
Uh-oh.
He wrote The Relationship Guide, Tools to Ignite Love and Intimacy. Sticker shock. First of all, I was blown away by the book when I first began reading it.
Hold on,
it was exactly what
I got to ask. You were blown away, and I got to ask, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
It was a really great thing.
I got to ask.
No, it was a great thing. At first, it was exactly what I expected it to be, to talk about, kind of the depths of connecting and communicating and those things. And then there's this whole chunk on sexual intimacy that just kind of set me back, and I'm like, wow, okay, let's go there. But it's so informative. And with my years of experience having my own relationships, right, as well as doing a lot of study and coaching, I found some interesting questions that I'd like to ask based on some of the knowledge you have in your book. I did find reasons that you left some information out. But that's what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about several things. We'll see if we can fit it all in.
Left out. I was trying to hurry up and write the book and get it out there so people would get off my butt, to be honest with you. As a lot of people know, college students of mine, people that know me, clients and all this stuff for years, I think I'm flattered, or maybe I was being annoy Greg, you got to write a book. You got to write a book, you know? And then it comes out to, you know, so I wrote the book. Okay. And then I wrote actually first book. And then this book is like a better situation, if you will. There you are. I lost you for.
Yeah.
And
I was trying to get my headset to work.
I wrote one book, and then it come out, and I'm like, man, this is. I didn't really like it at all. Okay, so what happened? I wrote another book, this book right here. So it better, more content, more whatever, and I can go back and probably edit it every year to add more stuff to it and make it 1,000 pages, easy. But I want people to get the basics. I don't want people to. I want to get to the point, if you will. I don't like wasting people's time. I want to get to the point and help people as much as possible, as quickly as possible, and not going through all the BS, all the song and dance, if you will. I want to help people get at the point.
That's one of my favorite things about this book is that it's really written for the people, right? It's so easy to read. It's like I'm having a conversation with you.
Right.
And it's so to the point. Oh my gosh. Like, yeah. Wow. It's real, right? It's almost, I want to use the word street language. So it's for everybody. And even those that aren't in relationships, right? Like myself, I've been single for a long time, and there's so much in here to gain. But definitely you can see how it would be an essential tool, if you will, for long-term relationships, for marriages, for even those beginning in a relationship. Yeah, holy crap. There's so much. But ready?
It's only I can't even remember, what is it, like 168 pages, and that's with some stuff, with some little tools in the back of the book too. So
we can talk about that. Yes, it's like 160, and I can't tell whether I shared this or not. I don't know. I tried like 5 times. I probably shared it 15. It's not, I don't know if it's working.
it's
I was hoping.
We're live on mine.
Right. Can you see if I shared it though? I can't.
Yeah, we can. So hit me up with what question you want to know. Let me see if it is on your page.
Okay.
But go ahead. Ask me questions while I try to check you out.
So we're gonna start with talking about emotional safety.
Oh, no, it's not on your page.
I didn't think so, and I can't. It's not working on my computer.
Sorry about the tech difficulties, people. We'll get into this
Sorry.
real quick. I'm going to try to share it.
Can you share it onto my page and tag me?
Nope, that's what I'm going to try to do.
All right. Well, because I keep clicking share and it's not doing a damn thing.
And it's set to public too. So, but anyway, sorry about the tech difficulties. We'll get into the reality, the questions and everything as well. Yeah. So.
Okay, so we're going to dig in with emotional stuff because that's where your book kind of begins.
I just posted. Yep, just posted. So
perfect.
It's on there.
So in here, and I'm going to quote this, it's talking about being honest and sharing things with our partner and creating this emotional safety. And you say, we're afraid to bring up the deep emotions and fears that are churning inside. The sooner we learn to connect these to painful roots and express them from the heart, the more connected we feel in a relationship. So my question is, okay, what happens when we do this? So I personally have experienced literally pouring it all out and as raw and vulnerable as possible because that's who I am. And it was just not received, not heard, not understood, you know, and I mean, what do we do then? Because I gave it all, right? Like I poured it out, the roots, the everything, the meat of it, had nothing left. And it was like, totally missed it. Way overhead, way under feet, whatever. But, you know, like it says, you know, we can feel more connected in the relationship. I felt so disconnected because I poured my soul out and it wasn't received.
And this is one thing to me, and I'm huge. I speak from the heart. I'm honest. I'm authentic with clients, with everybody, I hope. So I'm honest. And I'm very, if I feel something, I'm like you. If I feel something, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to pour my heart out, that type of aspect. And it's going to be real. It ain't fake. It's not just to get a piece of ass. Sorry. If we're on your timeline, hopefully it's shared okay on there. And, you know, looking at that aspect, and I'm like you, and I tell people, even with clients, I want you to, if you feel it, I want you to give 100% to a relationship, or, you know, if you feel it, and, you know, speak your truth, speak how you are, where you come from, what you feel. And if it's not received, and this is the big thing, because everyone doesn't want to get rejected. They don't want to get, you know, turned around, made a fool of, or be embarrassed if they don't feel the same way, which they might not. But at least I tell people, you spoke your truth, own that. You know what? Just own it. Don't feel ashamed about how you feel. Just because somebody else might not reciprocate, they might not be on the same page. Let's face it, they might not be able to go as deep as you, or as, you know, to that level emotionally that you can and you want, you maybe deserve and desire and crave. Now, if they can't, is that person for you or not? Is that person, you know, really what you assume them to be, or to meet you and be compatible, let's face it, on an emotional level, since we're talking about that. And we'll get into, I'm assuming, the sexual compatibility in a bit. And, you know, on that level, Tanika. So I tell people, speak your truth. Don't, you know, don't hold back. Don't be ashamed. But it sounds easy. As you know, we both know it sounds easy, but it's not, because we could get rejected. We could get laughed at. But you know what? I feel this way. Laugh at me. I don't care. You know what?
Yeah.
I'm not going to be ashamed of how I feel. Own it. Okay.
Right. So the question is, right, because I guess I know how, and maybe our viewers don't know necessarily how to be that vulnerable and deal with that. But what my question is then what, right? When we feel, and it wasn't, I wasn't feeling any sort of way about what I did, right? In pouring my soul out, I felt very confident in that.
Okay.
The what to do, the question really is, then what? Because I did all of this, right? And it wasn't received. So I felt like it just fell flat, like I just dumped it on the ground for nothing. And I'm okay with that. However, right, like, what do I do next, right? Like,
tell me why.
I say, okay, this isn't compatible. We're not gonna, you know, like, or do I try again in a different way so that they can receive it better? You know, that's the question. Does that make sense?
It is, but let me ask, what did you want to feel?
Understood.
Meaning, okay, what if someone is, and I shared the wrong thing, Tanika, on your page, so my apology. Okay. I'm sharing it now on your page. I apologize. I think I shared yesterday's show.
That's all right. You can share yesterday's show.
My apologies. Here we go. It should be on your timeline now. But my question is, and I'm going to ask, what did you want to feel? That's going to be my question to you. You know, what is it that you wanted to feel? You know, let's face it, we want to be reciprocated. You know, we fall madly in love with somebody and everything's there. We want them to feel the same about us, right? That's a no-brainer. But my question, when you said or asked about, you know, about what you feel, you know, we feel what? What did you feel when you opened up your heart? You poured your heart out and it just was met with like, okay, so what? Well, you get me? It might not have been reciprocated. It might not, that person might not have been able to get to the level, the depths of you.
Right.
It's not a right or wrong, but what did you feel? Let me ask you this. Now it looks like I'm interviewing you.
No, that's not the intention. It was just to ask a question that seemed, I don't know, maybe contradicting to the advice given, right? Because I've done that and that's not the results I got. What did I feel? I almost feel like it's irrelevant, right? Like I felt like I A and he heard B, even though like I poured it out as clearly and in depth as I really could have.
Right.
And it was like, what do I do now? Right.
What did you?
I said A, he heard B, C, D, whatever else.
What did you want to do? What would make you feel more comfortable in your own skin, expressing that on an emotional level? Like I said, this is how I feel. I'm not going to walk away from it. I'm not going to run. I'm going to own it. Sounds easy.
Yeah.
It sounds very easy, but it's not. And this is where I want people to get at. Even if you know, I use this, forget about romantic relationships. Even if you have a toxic relationship with your mother, your father, a sister, brother, a relative, right? And I tell people it might be hard. You don't want to hurt someone's feelings. We don't want to get hurt, not at all. But I want you to be able to speak your truth. And if somebody doesn't care about that or wants to disrespect you because of you speaking your truth or using it against you, throw it in your face, or, you know, manipulating you because of, oh, I know she loves me and I can sort of wrap her around my finger and disrespect her. No, I feel this way, but you're still not going to disrespect me. It's that balance between giving your all, but also giving your all to yourself so you're not disrespected. You're not allowing someone to play you, manipulate you. That's the goal where I want people to be at.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds easy. It's not. It's about, you know, building each other and our own, let's face it, our own self-worth, our own self-love and self-respect, you know?
Right. And it's so funny because it's still, right, like I felt okay. I felt disappointed, I guess. It is a great answer. I felt disappointed.
Absolutely.
That it wasn't received, but I still felt great about self, right? I did feel good that I did what I did. Anyways, let's move on. Thank you for touching on that, though. The next one, the significance of presence. So I wrote pages. You're going to have to bear with me. This is my first time interviewing somebody, so work with me here. You talk about being present and and it's about the emotional safety. I know you're physically here, but your mind is somewhere else.
Correct.
I want you to just talk a little bit about why being present mentally, emotionally, physically is so important for a relationship and what happens when that's gone.
It's crucial. It's, let's face it, when we've been there, right? And I get couples all the time, maybe my own life, I'm guilty of this, maybe too, where you can sit next to each other and you have people all the time. Well, we were right next to each other, but you're not there. You're both on your phones. You're that type of thing. Or one person's trying to talk and you're on your phone, you're looking away, you're daydreaming about something else. That's what I mean about presence. And I hope I put this in the book. I can't remember. I should remember, right? But I tell
I'll let you know.
It's not going to be there 24/7. Okay. We're human. We try the best we can. You want to be there majority of the time, a high percentage of the time. It's crucial. Okay. Yes. Yeah. We're going to have lapse, but if there is a lapse, I want you to own that and apologize. It's, I'm sorry, I should have been listening, whatever. No excuses, not trying to justify why you weren't. Just apologize and try to pay better attention. Okay. And present is huge. Are you actually listening to listen? Are you listening to try to gain awareness with that person, gain knowledge, what they're feeling, what they're thinking, what their experience was about an event or what they're talking to you about? But it's also about, being playful with each other, joking around with each other. And some people can be very playful and they notice that their partner or whoever is annoyed or they have a frustrated, anger, pissed off look on their face. And you don't pay attention to that. And you get me, it's about you trying to tickle or whatever. And you don't care that they're annoyed, that they're frustrated. That's about being present, about paying attention to the nonverbal aspects, the facial expressions, maybe voice tone. And again, being present is also, we might assume one thing, right? We might take things out of perspective, right? But are we paying attention to, why are you mad at me? Instead of, oh my God, and we fight back and all that. That's about being present and trying to understand what is going on with our partner. And there's times, Tanika, you probably can relate, that, you can not say a word and still be present with each other by holding each other, caressing each other, that you still feel each other there, and you don't have to say a word. So it's different for everybody, if that makes sense.
One of the biggest issues that I personally have been encountering lately is literally the absence of, right? So they want to build this relationship and have, like all the things that come with a relationship without actually being able to build the relationship.
Can you be more specific? What do you mean they want everything that comes along with it?
It's okay. So yeah, I mean, I can't believe I'm going here, but we'll go there, right? So they want to call me
being a smart.
It's almost like a booty call, but it's not, right? They want the relationship. They want me to be committed to them. They want me to be theirs, right? To be their girlfriend, to only be seeing them, only be engaging with them. That full level of commitment, which I understand. I want that too. They want to build this relationship where I want to choose them and only them, right? And I want to get to that place. But I feel like a lot of what I'm dealing with right now is they want this, but they're not showing up to build the relationship, right? Like, I'm on the job, I'm here, let's build, and they're not showing up, right? They're showing up when it's convenient for them. So that's what I'm being specific about, is they want to build this, but they're not here to build, right? They're not present. They're not showing up, whether it's talking on the phone or video calls or in person, which I found for myself, in person is most important, because I don't feel like I can build a relationship without you being here to build the relationship with me.
It's so crucial, and it's different. Even doing, with the COVID and everything in Michigan, Michigan got hit hard, big time. And with the COVID and the virtual, even with clients, I miss the vibe. You feel that vibe with people face to face, like you're saying. And I have, a lot of people doing the virtual, dating and virtual. It's just so different. You could get along great, but in person, that chemistry might not be there. It might not be. It's just different. It's different.
Well, and you can't build. I mean, you can build to a depth, right? So I was engaged, and my man worked out of town, but we had already established a relationship, so we were able to continue to go and build it. But in beginning, right? And I know that I'm a single woman, so this is a little bit different than in relationships, but it's the building of, right? And that's where I'm going to talk from most of this interview, is that this is where I'm at, and this is not working for me. But thank you for touching on that. I'm going to keep going. Okay. I'm going to open a can of worms. So you talk about doing the little things, which are really important. I agree, right? They write songs about this. Give a little love. It's the little things that are important. But how, and you talk about, like, hey, are you okay? And we just talked about this, being present, noticing the facial expressions and things like that. Right. So how do we handle, right? And this is for our viewers, because I kind of know how to handle it myself, but how do we handle the I'm fine response, right? Like, oh, it's nothing. I'm fine.
You're talking about women, right? No.
Men do it too.
Men do it too. That's why I'm laughing. I joke.
Which segregates. So let me put two questions in one, because this is great, because this is another one. You talk in the end, like a how to, what do we do, right? About continue to talk to each other deeply, not just about the kids, the weather, the work, right?
Right.
And so how do we get men to talk deeply? So those two things, right? One is, how do we handle those I'm fine, very shallow, I don't want to get into this responses? And then also, how do we get men to open up and talk a little bit more deeply? I think women are better at it, but it does go both genders, right?
I agree. And let's face it, for the most part, women are a lot better at this. And if there are men, I mean, myself, I can talk. I love deep conversations. I have no problem talking about anything deep, how I feel, what I want, what I need, that type of thing. If you want to talk about emotionally, sexually, that type of thing. But some men, let's face it, they're not as great communicators or as good of communicators as a lot of women. And both women, we all know what FINE stands for. They put it all over as far on Facebook and everything else. What FINE means, irrational. I'm going to, all the analogies for what FINE represents. And this is one thing I tell people I want you to be able to challenge. And, I'm fine. You know what? you know what? I get you say you're fine, but your body's telling me something different. I see your facial expressions telling me you're not. Just want to make sure. What can I do to make it, that you can talk to me about anything? That if you're upset at me, pissed off, hurt by me, I want to hear it. Some people don't want to hear the truth. And it comes down to, even that fine situation that they say, oh, I'm fine. And they're not fine. You feel it in your gut that they're not fine. Hey, Tony. Hey, what's up? Devin, this is not my interview, so I don't want to give props.
No, you're fine. Say hi. What's up?
But looking at these situations, I want people to be able to challenge it. And it's one thing, this is one thing I found, maybe more so with women. Oh, I'm fine. Guy walks away and the lady is pissed off at the guy. Oh, you don't even care, whatever. Well, you told me I'm fine. Because they're not paying attention to the nonverbals, the voice tone, maybe the rolling of the eyes, all those aspects, or they're hurt, they're sad, pissed off, whatever. And that's where I challenge people, you know what? Go after it. You know what? I get you're not fine. I can tell. And some people, this is what's very difficult. And it's not a one size fits all regarding this, because some people just want to be left alone and they can come back and talk about it. But if that's the case, men, women,
beyond I'm fine.
You need to be able to say, you know what, just give me a moment and we'll talk about it later. I want you to be able to speak that, because your partner cannot read your mind. Men, women, doesn't matter. I want you to be able to say, you know what, maybe I'm not fine, but just give me a minute. And then don't pressure. A lot of people will want to pressure and get it out because they can't handle that anxiety. That's where I want people to self-soothe and look at, okay, I'm giving them a minute. I don't want to make it worse, but then you have to come back and you have to come back and engage when, in relation to Tanika, when you said about the fine aspect, oh, I'm fine. And your partner is not. Go after it from care and compassion, that type of aspect. And when they say that, does your partner feel judged? Do they feel judged by you or do they get defensive if you say, you know what, I don't feel loved, I don't feel respected by you, and also, oh yeah, screw you, and it turns into this?
Well, so I think, and this is my own personal experience though, right, is I found a lot of guys know that there's conflict behind the words I'm fine. Yeah. And it's easier for them to just accept I'm fine and walk away because they don't want to get engaged in that conflict. Yeah. And the reason we're talking about these things before we get into the sexual stuff is because, right, if I'm fine, I don't want to have sex with you.
Why not?
Right?
Why not?
Because I don't feel like it. Because I'm fine, right? I'm not okay, and you need to fix it.
Well, tell me why. What's going on? What can I do that you'd want to have sex with me? Is it kissing you here, kissing you there? Is it about what? Compliments, affirmations? Is it about, you know what? How can I respect you more?
Right. How? Yeah, and then you just did it, guys. What he just said, right? Oh my gosh. So now we're gonna talk about sex. Because it's so important that we do these things, right? And it's not just foreplay, which foreplay is great, but there's got to be that safety created, that connection created, because I'll tell you, especially for women, speaking from being one, if I'm pissed off at you, hurt by you, disappointed, whatever, the last thing I want to do is get on my knees for you. That's it, right? So you fix this.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I just went off daydreaming for a bit. I'm sorry. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back. I'm
blushing.
I'm back. Okay.
Okay, I can do this.
Yes. I agree. And that's where men need to understand this. And women, you need to be able to speak from this. Men, a lot of men, this is one stereotype I get into, and to be able to go after as far as the depth. We talked about the depth and all this aspect, right? And you need to be able to ask, and I talked about this on my show a couple of weeks ago, maybe, about questions of concern and care. And it's not just for your benefit. You get me? So if a woman thinks you're only doing something to get a piece of ass, they're going to shut down. They want to know you're connected and you care what's going on with them. and it's about them and being that, connected during sex. And let's face it, the safety aspect, a lot of women, if you don't feel safe, guess what? You're going to have problems enjoying yourself. It might hurt. And let's face it, if you don't feel safe, ladies, you're not going to be able to orgasm. And if you're with a guy that don't care about that, you know what? I'm like, why? You get me? Are they coming?
Next question.
And that's where guys need to come from a place of care and concern. It's got to be authentic. It can't be just fake. It needs to be real. And go after, what does your lady need to feel safe and secure outside the bedroom and, of course, inside the bedroom? And everybody's different. Don't assume because you were with, let's face it, one woman, two women, or a guy. Guys, too. This goes for women. It's not a gender biased thing.
Well, I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
It totally goes for both genders. There was a situation in my life recently, even, well, not that recently, but recently enough, where we were getting hot and heavy, and I could tell he really wasn't that into it. And this is actually a conversation that I think is really important. I know that, guys complain because women don't get into it. They're not getting wet. But I also see the same thing for mentally and emotionally with men, that they don't get as erect as they could. Like they may think they want it, right? But they're physically, like, their body's not responding because their emotions aren't really in it, or aren't really there, or they can't really do it, right? And so this definitely goes both ways. And I'll tell you how I personally, as a woman, addressed it. I was like, hun, what's really going on? Right? Like, stop. This isn't going anywhere. Let's talk about what's going on. And then maybe, right, if we can get through this.
Right.
Which is, it's awkward, right? Like, I felt a little bit, I'm like, do I really want to ruin this? Do I keep playing it out? Do we really fake this out? Or do I just say, you know what, this is bullshit. This is clearly not working. Let's talk about what's working and why, what's underneath it. And
that's where I want people to go after, but they'll sit on the surface. They won't go to that depth that you asked about earlier, about talking about depth, the fear, the insecurity, the whatever. And there's, let's face it, a lot of guys, just like women, performance aspects. I want to please, and if I don't, I'm not good enough. I'm not man enough. I'm not. All these things go through a lot of men's heads, and a lot of women assume, right, that they should be, when the wind blows, they're ready to go, and that's not always the case. And if you don't, say a guy is nervous or whatever happens, he doesn't get erect, and also, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You're not man. They attack. What's going to happen to that guy if there is a next time? Can you go after it? Oh, is everything okay? And you go out of care and compassion. But a lot of times, if he's not erect, the woman will attack the guy because why? Tanika?
Because they're worried that it's about them. Right? They're worried that I'm not turning you on enough. They're insecure. Am I too fat? Is it the way my face looks? Am I having hygiene problems? Like, I'm a woman. I know what we think, right? And as soon as we start thinking those things, it's over for us. I mean, you gotta re-engage, start before play all over again.
And women are pros at either shutting off or they will attack and make that other person, because they don't want to feel, well, no one wants to feel attacked, hurt, embarrassed. All our insecurities are right at the top, that we're puking them out. No one wants to feel that. But instead of, going with that and going, it might not have anything to do with you. But if you go after a care and concern and not rip each other apart and criticize, it can make things so much easier and safer to talk about anything.
Well, and I think that really comes from, like we talked about a little bit, is really being comfortable with self, right? It's so important to be comfortable with yourself and say, like, I've had a handful of experiences where the guy, I'm gonna say didn't show up ready, right? Because he was dealing with mental stuff or emotional stuff, or maybe even past baggage stuff, or maybe it was something I said earlier in the evening, or whatever, right? Where I could tell that they really weren't here, right? They weren't present. And do what?
I said absolutely. I agree.
Yeah, and it was learned, it's practiced for me to not take it personally, right? Like I used to, and this is way overshare, I used to take it really personally if a guy didn't get off quickly. I'm like, I'm not pleasing him right, I'm not doing my job right, like, what's wrong with me? And that what's wrong with me would eat me alive. I learned, okay, well,
that issue.
Do what?
I said, I need that issue. Not to get off so quick, right?
It's a tricky line there. It was a very tricky line there.
Yeah.
Oh man. Anyways,
talk to me.
I'm gonna keep going because I have so many interview questions. I should have made them way less. Okay, one thing I really want to address.
Yes.
Relationships are all encompassing, right? Mind, body, spirit, soul, all the things.
I would hope so.
Really is then what? Because
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I could hear me in the background. So they're all encompassing, but what do we do when the only thing working in the relationship is sex?
Chances are, let's face it, there's a lot of people, a lot of couples over the years working with, that's the only thing they have in common is great sex life. And I tell people, it's very, very rare, and you might be able to relate to this too, Tanika. The sex can be great, but after that, it gets to a point where, you know what? It's going to deteriorate. If you can't talk, it's going to come out in the bedroom sooner or later. It is rare. There are couples that they've been together 20 plus years. Their sex life is still great, but that's the only thing they have. And that's rare because like most people, that's a very, very low percentage. Okay. I'm talking probably 1% of relationships. Chances are that, you know what, people want more than great sex. If they're always arguing, if they're always fighting, if they're always not connecting emotionally or feeling like cared about, except in the bedroom, whatever, chances are the sex life is going to go right down the toilet with it. Let's just face it. So, and it's one of those things too. Let's do the opposite. Everything else is great. I've had couples, everything is great. They trust friends. They haven't had sex in 4 years, 6 years. They're living as roommates. Again, if you're okay with that, that's not for me to say it's wrong. Not at all. But for me personally, I'll be like, deuces, peace. No. But and it's looking at, it's what you want. You get me? It's what's important to each individual. And if sex is a crucial element to you in sharing yourself, your body, your mind, heart, soul, all that aspect, you want to be with someone that has that same type of intensity or the same value and beliefs about that, or it's going to create issues. And that goes for, let's face it, any facet of a relationship, emotionally, intellectually, and of course, sexually. No one's going to meet our needs 100%. That's a myth. No one is going to do that. But you want, a high percentage in place on those areas, or you're going to create, it's going to create issues big time. Now, I'm not talking again perfection, not at all.
Right. No. And I've said this to a lot of my own clients. I say, okay, if I take away the sex in your relationship, what do you have now? And it's funny because, I hear often, well, nothing. And I'm like, well, is that what you want in a relationship? What happens if one of you gets in a car accident and can't have sex for the next year and a half or longer?
Or the
you're going to stop a relationship?
Rest of your life. But can you have sex other ways? If sex just...
Look at you get creative.
Right? Is sex just penetrative? Oral, manually, toys... kissing, you can still be intimate with one another, even if you are not able to have penetrative sex.
Yeah. I'm on board. I got you.
Everybody's assuming it's just penetrative sex. And, most women don't get off with penetrative sex. It's more, let's face it, getting orally pleased, manual stimulation, maybe toys, combination of both. So.
Or all of the above, right? Whatever works and that you're comfortable with.
Oh, hell,
I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud. However, in chapter 14, you start with something like,
what?
You see this? I can't even do it. Fuck me hard, suck my cock, blah, 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 right? You have lots of statements like this. That these words, these languages used in the right context, right, can be a great way to stimulate the imagination and to express what you want with your partner. So you talk about this, but I want to talk about it a little bit more because there was a time when I was brave enough, right, and this was years ago, that I used some language like this, and I quote, my husband at the time said, if I wanted a slut, I would have married one.
Oh my God. See, and
so let's talk about how do we handle that response, because I think a lot of us have the courage, right, to say these things or behave in these ways that we think are going to stimulate our relationship sexually, and then to have it received that way or responded to that way. What do we do to handle that better? Right? Like, this was years ago for me. I've handled it, but what do you think?
And that tells me, I look at these aspects, and it's about talking about sexual compatibility, okay? And I look at, some people, and I'm not saying you have to do this or say this, whatever, but I look at about sexual maturity, and it has nothing to do with age. It has to do with emotional maturity, what you want. And this is about sexual compatibility. And if you are not sexually compatible, there's a difference between you can have okay sex and then great connected, oh my God, sex. And it's not going to be all the time. It's about knowing what each other wants. And that doesn't, because you say fuck me or suck my cock, doesn't make you, a slut, an ass. Not at all. And you have some people that are, let's face it, that are more conservative, that are, do I want to use the word prudish? That might be rude or maybe labeling, and I don't want to do that. We'll just say more conservative, and their belief is sex should be all, missionary, I love you, and that's it. There's no playfulness. There's no rough, raw, animalistic type of aspect. And again, I don't want to disrespect anybody. It's about what you want in your life. But again, if you want dirty talk, and that's where that came from in the book, about talking dirty to each other and going to a different level, almost carnal, raw, it can really liven each other up. However, because you're comfortable with it, as you said, I would love to hear that. Oh my God, are you kidding me? Hell to the yes. And now I lost my train of thought. Sorry. But you also have to look at, your partner. Are they okay with that? Are they shy about that? Do they not know how to handle it? Or, do they have misconceptions? And this is one thing, I talk about, and this goes into not only talking dirty, whatever, all of a sudden that stops when you're married or you have a child together. Oh, I can't talk to her that way because she's the mother of my kid. Or women, I'm a mother now. I can't talk this way. I can't let my husband or boyfriend talk to me that way. I'm a mother. What would we think? You're still a being. You're still a woman. And why would that change because of the status type aspect? Why would that change? But it's weird. I don't think it's intentional. It's just like the mindset, like, your ex-husband, maybe it's glad he's your ex, that, oh my God, if I wanted to marry a slut, I'm like, why wouldn't you embrace that? And that goes with, the mindset, maybe the value system that you look at. And again, it's not a right or wrong, but you need to be with someone that has the same values and maybe moral compass that you do. And if they're far apart and extreme like that, that's going to stymie. It's going to make yourself stagnant as an individual. You're not going to be able to grow and explore and become more comfortable in your skin, how you want to be.
And develop my sexuality is what we're talking about. So the advice, I was sitting here thinking as you're speaking, and the advice I would have given myself then, right? If I could tell her what to do, say, whatever, I would have told her, instead of surprise factor, open the dialogue and say, hey, honey, I've been thinking about doing something like this. How do you feel about that? Right.
Yeah, I would love,
and maybe get some feedback, because that could have saved me a lot of what was shame at that point in my life. It's very different now. Good.
Don't feel
but thank you.
And you're to feel shamed and shut down. And what does that do to your sexuality? Guess what? I'm closed off. I don't feel safe.
Oh, I quit wearing lingerie. I quit saying anything related to anything. That was the thing, right? Is like, I was trying to spice things up. Our marriage was falling apart. And so I put some lingerie on, turned on some music, started dirty dancing and talking to him all kinds of ways. And he's like sitting there really unattached. He's like, if I wanted a slut, I would have married one. And I'm like, I'm going to bed. That was rough. Anyways,
it shuts you down because you're not allowing or maybe you're not allowing yourself to be the person you want to be, but then your partner is not allowing that to, or
that was really hard then, right? But
yes.
Go ahead.
Nope, I'm done.
I want to talk to you about something that I have tried to talk to a lot of gentlemen about, both in my own relationships and coaching, and it's always been a really difficult subject. You write about it, so I want I want you to share a little bit about men and backdoor pleasure with homosexuality, right? So,
yes.
I've heard, right, and I used to actually be a romance enhancement specialist. I sold products and toys and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
And I know there's a huge market of men that enjoy anal pleasure. And then there's this as equal market of men that are like, I'm not gay, don't touch me there, blah, blah, blah. And I feel like they're missing out on this world of, an intense pleasure that might be for them, but they won't open mind to it. So can you talk to me a little bit about that?
Yes, there's a huge misconception. And it's, anal play is not for everybody, okay? Men, women, you have a choice, whatever. But my thing is, what is getting in the way of you trying it? If you like, you might like it. And I ask people, is that the problem, that you actually might like it? That's the actual issue. And it doesn't, I tell people, it has nothing to do with your sexuality. It's who your sexuality is not about what is done to you, what you like, what you don't like. It has to do, your sexual orientation, if you will. It has to do with who you're attracted to and who you want to do those things to you. So talking about anal play, there's a lot of nerve endings, and I'm sure, that can be very, very pleasurable for men, for women. And it has nothing to do with being, gay, that type of thing. It has to do what you enjoy and who you enjoy it with. So it can be very pleasurable. And it's one of those things that you're right. A lot of men, there's men that are, that love it, that like it. And there's men that are, oh my God, no way, I'm not gay. And it has nothing to do with your sexual orientation. And it's a huge myth. And there's a lot of us throughout the country. I could, Dr. David Lay, Justin Lehman, there are other, sexual professionals, and that didn't sound right. Sexual research and sex therapist professionals in the realm. There we go. That, we talk about this aspect, and we promote getting away from the taboo about, the myths. There's a lot of myths out there that are generated, let's face it, from decades and centuries. All of that. If you like this, you're labeled as gay, lesbian. Not at all. And that's where I try to break through men. You know what, if you like it, your lady would like to try it. And there's some women out there that, their men want to try it, and they're, oh no, it's gross, it's taboo, it's only the, only the outdoor, if you will, all these taboos, and you could be missing out on some great pleasure. But again, I don't judge. It's up to each individual to want to expand their horizons. And my question to everybody regarding this is, what is getting in the way of that in your beliefs and your value systems? I want you to be able to challenge them. Where did you learn this stuff from? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it a myth? Is it factual? Or is it just in your own head to keep you, in that comfort zone?
Comfort zone. I think that's the word. All right, so we're going to switch gears just a little bit. I'm going to try and get the rest of these questions in quickly. Piece of ass, being somebody's piece of meat, right? You talk about that a lot throughout your book, how both sexes can feel like they're just a piece of meat to their partner. Hey, will you turn that off now? Thank you. Sorry. I have kids home, and they've, for the most part, been out of this room so that I could have this conversation, but I talk pretty openly with them as well, just not the same language. Anyways,
terrific.
We talk about, you talk in your book a lot about feeling like a piece of meat or piece of ass or whatever. Yeah. And in both genders feel this way. I've had lots of conversations myself with clients or friends or partners that have felt this way. And I want to challenge our viewers really to ask, themselves, is this the only way that I actually feel their levels of attention or love or needing or wanting me? Because in my own experience, right, coming from a sexually traumatized childhood, that was the only thing I assimilated with really wanting me or giving me attention.
Your worth,
and
your
they
self-worth.
were giving me attention in other ways, and they were wanting me in other ways. They wanted me for my mind and my other things, but I couldn't get outside of that perspective. So I thought I was just a piece of meat, right? So I want to challenge anybody out there that's watching this that feels like they're a piece of meat to ask, is this the only way that you feel like you're important to them? Because oftentimes it's our perception that that's how they see us, when that's not really how they see us at all.
Tanika, I love that. And that's great. I want people to ask, is it just coming from me? And, with the piece of meat or a piece of ass aspect, of course, I'm asking, I want that partner to ask, I just feel like a piece of meat, whatever. Okay. What am I doing to make you just feel like a piece of meat? Okay. An example might be, well, the only time you touch me is when you want to have sex. The only time you want to kiss me or, maybe caress me is when you want sex. So I feel like a piece of ass. And that tells me the emotional aspect is, let's face it, it's disconnected. It's either missing or it's lacking significantly. And that's where that comes from. Oh, the only time you talk to me, and it's communication. It's all that emotional heart and soul entities, if you will, that is missing, that you just, you only want to see me or talk to me or spend time with me if I'm blowing you or, having sex with you. And that's where that comes from, the piece of meat. And I get that. Is this only my perception? I worked with so many.
And I think, Greg, you're tying this into, maybe that's the only time they feel like their partner's present, right?
But absolutely.
I mean, it's exactly the same thing as what I'm hearing, right? Like, if they're only present when clothes are coming off, like, what the fork? I want you to be present when my clothes are on. I want you to be present while I'm sick. I want you to be present while I'm having the best day of my life and the worst day of my life. Absolutely. I want you to be present, not just when my clothes are coming off. I mean, that goes both genders.
And sometimes, in a good part, and I want to, quickly, you have to look at what present means, just like intimacy, anything else. You have to be more specific on what that means to you. What do you want me to do to show you I am present, that you are not a piece of meat or a piece of ass? And oh my God, everybody is different. Everybody assumes, right? Stereotypes. This is where I want, and ladies, you have to be very literal with men, most men, not me. I'm different.
And spell it out with the crayon if you need to.
You need to, a lot of men are very literal. You need to touch me, like, write it out. And I had a woman, Greg, what do you want me to do? Write him a fucking note? And I said, yeah, or maybe you can tell him and he can write his own note. And he can write his own note. And I want men to learn to not, to sort of read between the lines, but I also want women to understand, be specific. You need to be specific. Don't be so general. I want you emotionally present. And the guy's like, huh? What? You need to be specific.
What the hell does that mean?
And even men, you need to be specific too, and get down to the nitty gritty. I like this. I want that. This is what I mean by emotionally close, physically close. This is what I mean. There's no shame in it, but a lot of people, let's face it, they feel like they don't have a right to say what they want, what they need, what they desire, because they're gonna, like you said, embarrassed. And this is, women feeling like a piece of meat, and their partner doesn't even know it.
Right. No, it's so important to communicate, especially those hard things. And honestly, like, I feel like if you're burying stuff and you're not letting it come up, it's eventually going to come up either way. But it's the molehill that you can get over versus the mountain that's going to tear you apart, right? Or at least that's my perspective. So,
about learning from each other.
Yeah, really hard subject that I know a lot of people need to talk about, probably more than they are. And I think we can shed some light here. Cheating. I want to touch on like one part of it.
Okay.
We often understand that when we cheat or they cheat or whatever, right, that the partner, and you say, quote unquote, needs to eat shit for a few months, a month or whatever. It's not a determined amount of time, right?
Did I say that?
But they gotta sleep in the bed they made, right? They gotta deal with their consequences of the actions. The other party, whoever was cheated on, is gonna be hurt, is gonna have feel betrayed and all these different things. So I want to talk about how long in reality that should last, because I know that there's like no timeline, but I will tell you from personal experience as well as coaching experience that I've seen this betrayed partner, right, making the cheater eat shit for years, and they've dwindled that person down to where they're so, I mean, just dismantled and depressed and miserable, and they don't even want to be in the relationship anymore, right? I mean, it's becoming a Stockholm syndrome because this person has just laid the eat shit on so thick. So where do we bridge that, right? Where do we bridge that back into a healthy relationship?
This is where I tell people it's very subjective. Everybody wants a cut and dry answer to this. It should be this. Everybody's different. Every relationship is different. Every individual is different. When I talk about, and I say this is how I talk with clients. You know what? The person that did the betraying, they need to eat shit about that trust issue. What they broke, that doesn't mean everything else. I want to make that clear, right? That still does not, because you eat shit doesn't mean you allow yourself to be disrespected by your partner. You're going to get maybe yelled at, screamed at, whatever. You can say, you know what? You have to show genuine remorse and guilt big time. And I tell people, you know what? The more you show genuine remorse and guilt and compassion and empathy for the pain you caused your partner, the quicker, the faster, and the more solidified the healing can take place.
What if they don't have it?
And if that doesn't happen,
what if they don't have it? I mean, literally, they don't feel remorse. They don't feel guilt. They don't feel any of those things.
Then I tell people, good luck, because chances are it's always going to be there. And it's just a matter of time that the relationship, either you're going to get the person that did the betraying, like you said, they're going to get sick of, oh my God, I can't believe you did this to me. It's going to deteriorate. And the other person is going to feel like the other person don't care. They don't give a shit. Rightfully so. So my question is, why would you want to be with somebody like that? Again, that's not my decision to make. Not at all.
No, right.
That's bias.
But it's not.
But it's up to you. But going back to, like you said about the time frame, there's a thing I talk about. There's people that they're the prisoner. I call them the warden prisoner situation, to where, just like you said, they want to hold that person hostage for what they did the rest of their life, right? Throw it in their face, blame them, bash them. That's not healthy for anybody. Okay. Right. And then there's ones that ignore it. I get in my office, oh, Greg, one session, everything's fine, great, like nothing happened. I get a call 4 months later, it's an issue because they didn't deal with it. Then the ones are brave, they look at, they look at what caused it, what was going on, and they work together to try to evolve their relationship and heal that if possible. There has to be genuine remorse and guilt. The more you do that, and it could be, I get people, oh my God, Greg, I already said I'm sorry. Oh my God, it's been a week. Let it go. And I'm like, it don't work that way.
No, and I think something really important here is that, I know from experience, right, having been betrayed, I wanted so badly to make him feel what I was feeling so that he could understand. However, I found that is literally impossible. And I only felt like shit because that's not authentic with who I am to make another person hurt like that. But he wasn't understanding the pain he was causing me, and he was okay with it. There was no remorse. There was no guilt. And I just wanted so badly for him to get it, right? That I was doing things out of alignment, out of character for myself to try and get him to feel the same thing. And I mean, what do you say to that? Like, how do we as the betrayed handle those situations better in a more healthy and authentic way?
And this is one thing I want the person that was betrayed, they got a right to feel what the devastation, let's face it, catastrophe. They got a right to feel. And the one, you have a right to speak your mind. And if that partner doesn't want to hear that pain and everything, you know what? You need to talk to a professional, someone else to try to get that out of you. And my question is, if your partner that did the betraying don't want to hear it, doesn't want to try to connect with that pain, why are you with them? Why would you want to be with them? Oh, I love him. I love her, Greg. I get it. I understand that. But that's where that self-worth and self-respect comes in. And it's not easy. And going back to, I tell people all the time, and this could relate to any betrayal, okay? One person could feel that, okay, I hurt my partner, and they feel at a level, maybe 3, but in reality, that level is a 10, catastrophic. You need to understand and learn and try to ask, I want to know how bad you're hurt. I want to know, tell me, tell me what you feel. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I don't ever want to devastate you again. I don't want to cause this pain for you. And you have to keep the more you repeat that, the more, and this is part of the eating shit I talk about. The more you show that remorse and the care that you hurt that person, and it's not just for you to get off the hook, the quicker and faster and more solidified that the healing from, say, cheating can take place. And there are people, I'm honest, there are people that the betrayer can do everything perfect that show remorse and guilt for a long time and might not ever get over it. That's rare, and I stack that deck against that happening, but it does happen where some people just, they can't get over it.
So I have a lot more questions, but I want to know if you have a little bit more time, because I know we're at an hour now.
I have time.
Do you have time?
I appreciate
good.
asking. Yeah, I have a little time, yes.
Okay, so the next question, we're going to stick in this cheating subject for just a minute. Oftentimes, my clients and myself as well from personal experience, right?
Yes.
When we've been betrayed, we ask the why question that you talk about in your book. You want to know why and all these things to work through it, which for those just tuning in, I'm interviewing Greg about his the relationship guide, tools to ignite love and romance, or love and intimacy. He talks about many great things. Right now we're on the subject of cheating, which he talks about, and how to kind of repair the relationship. And one of the things that I found, and you talk about it a little bit, but I want you to expand on it here. We often want the why they did it to be as dramatic as the pain we're feeling.
And I tell people, we have to look at, there's three things I get at, and there's other people talk about other things, whatever. Excuse me. One thing I want to make clear, the adage, once a cheater, always a cheater, that is so not true. I'm going to tell you, okay, that is so not true. But it's important to look at, okay, what was the reason you cheated? What caused it? Okay, that doesn't justify it. It doesn't condone it. How we might feel not loved, not desired, not appreciated, not respected for whatever, a long time. That still does not give us the right to go out and cheat, whatever, not at all. How we feel, but what we do with that, we need to own that. It's not a blame game. It's not, that doesn't give us the right to do it. But going back, because if you don't know what caused it, what do we have to work with? What's going to help your partner know that you're not going to do it again? Especially, you don't know why you cheated and you don't show any remorse or guilt. Are you kidding me? But yet you want your partner to trust you again. Hell no. You know what? If your partner does, I'm honest. They're foolish. They're foolish. Why would they trust you? I get you. They might tell you they do, but they won't. They're lying to you. And I'm all about being honest and authentic, but you have to, that's why I said there has to be, looking at the reason it happened. Is there genuine remorse and guilt and a commitment, not, let's face it, not to do it again? And, there's so many different reasons. There's ego. There's, afraid of intimacy. There's so many different reasons. And, I tell people, if you're okay sharing somebody or them cheating on you, man or woman, that's fine. It's your life. You get me? And a lot of people, that's wrong. That's whatever. It's not my life. It's yours or the people out there in the world. But looking, it has to, we have to have some reason what happened. Is it an ego that you're in you love attention all the time and you can't just say no? Then we have to look at that compulsivity and what we need to put in place so you stop.
And thank you for that so much. I mean, it's so important, and I think that it's one of the things I deal with often. I'm sure it's one of the things you deal with often. It's just a hard thing, and I think just giving more helpful tools and information out there, because everybody kind of feels alone in it, even though no one's really alone in it, because it happens to a lot of people, unfortunately.
Many.
I just wanted to get that out there as well. So, ready? In the back of your book, I love this. You say, what can you do? Right? This is chapter 23. You talk about men. You give advice to men and then advice to women, then advice to both. Yeah. And you say, stop taking her for granted. Express your appreciation and respect for her. Keep kissing her deeply. Keep touching her sensually. Don't stop telling her how much she is adored, loved, and that she is beautiful. And you say, well, I don't mean every day.
Hold on.
But, right?
I
Often.
go to the bathroom and take a cold shower now. Hold on. No. Jeez.
So
it's not easy.
I'm asking here, if they don't really feel that way, if they don't adore her, if they don't really feel all these things, are you encouraging people to fake it, right? So I've had partners where
Nope.
I don't really feel that way right then.
No.
And maybe one day I do and one day I don't. And I don't ever want to fake it. I don't want.
We're talking. It's a balancing act, and I will never, ever. Thousands of clients over the years. People know I will never, ever promote people faking it. If you don't feel it, don't say it. If you don't feel,
and that's the same in bed, right?
Don't do it. But you can still be respectful and everything else, and look at the root. What happened that you don't adore? I'm not about people giving lip service. On my show, Tanika, you might have heard me say this numerous times. I'm not about people giving lip service. I want the actions to be, and the words to be authentic and come from the heart. When I meant about, and I do, if you can look at the good in your partner, even little things can go a long way to show that you're paying attention, being present, and that you care. You know what? That's awesome how you handled, the kids, and you didn't let it get out of. There's little things you can do that can make each other feel adored and cherished. And it's new things every day. So it doesn't seem stagnant. It's, oh, you're just saying you love me. I don't feel it. Well, what can I do to show you I do love you? And
right. So
we all know there's going to be days where you might not like each other, but we're talking, in, let's face it, the majority of the time. Okay.
All right. Sorry, I'm getting interrupted. Excuse me. I'm almost done with you, Greg, but this has been amazing. I hope our viewers are getting a lot out of this.
Like piece of ass. You said
what?
You're almost done with me. I feel like a piece of ass. No, no.
Oh, you're not though. Why do you feel that way? How can I make sure you don't feel that way?
You're talking like a textbook therapist. Knock it off. Be real.
I'm not even a therapist. Can you excuse me, please? Thank you. She's like, I want in on this. Mom, you've been away from me for an hour now.
I know. It's not
easy. Okay, right here. So we talked about emotional trust a little bit in the beginning. I'm pulling it back around a little bit. Yeah. I'm just going to touch on it because you talk about the big difference in telling with your words, right? Lip service, and then they're showing it. And I feel like oftentimes, and I'm just going to throw this out here, you don't have to respond or talk on it, but you can, that so many times, right, the words fall flat and there's no behavior associated or actions associated with the words, right? Like, I care about you, but then I'm doing these really shitty things that hurt you. And so it's contradicting.
Right.
And I just feel like that's such an important thing that you talk about both in the beginning and in the end of your book.
Yeah.
To, bring that around, because as we were talking about, we're not going to have these mind-blowing sex lives if the emotional trust and security isn't there.
No, it's
not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. And if it is going on, it's not going to last. So it's, you're right. It's about looking at, you can say, I love you. I care about you. I adore you. Oh my God. Yes. Yeah. You turned it, but you're not touching. You're not kissing me. You're not complimenting me. No affirmations. Those are words. I get that. But you can say, oh, you're beautiful, but then you're not. You can say, right. I adore you. I love you. You're this.
Oh, no, I've heard it, right? And
it's not.
You're the sexiest thing alive, and then they don't touch me. They don't try to seduce me. They don't want anything to do with me. Yeah.
And I'm huge.
It's awful.
The actions, let's face it, the actions and behaviors got to back up those words. We heard it, right? You know what? Actions speak louder than words. We've all been around that philosophy and looking at, and if you are using the words and your partner doesn't believe it or feel that way, don't, oh my God, I'm telling you, you don't believe it. Ask.
Sorry, I'm gonna move. Greg, bear with me for 1 second. I'm gonna move because my kids are being
okay. No, ask them, ask them what I can do to show you then. And what I'm doing, if it's not working, teach me what does work. What do you want to know? What do you want to hear? What can I do to show you I do adore you, I do love you, I do desire you? What can I do to show you that isn't working? Ask. Come from a place, and this is so crucial in any relationship aspect, come from a place of wanting to learn, gain knowledge, gain insight and awareness. Don't come out blaming. Don't come across as attacking. Come across as you want to know how you can be a better partner, that type of thing. If when I say I love you, you don't feel it. What can I do to show you this? Spend time with me. Take me out, go for a walk, whatever. Cuddle with me, whatever it is. Okay. Everybody is different. That's why I said, people can read this or learn this, whatever. You have to do what works for each other, not what you assume all women want or all men want. No. Ask how your partner wants, what they need, what they specifically want from each other, and it can be so much easier. That doesn't.
So you just walked me into my final question.
Oh.
And I was really looking forward to asking you this. So I've been in a place where I asked my partner, he kept saying, "You don't love me," and I was like, "Well, what can I do to make you feel loved?" And the list just kept growing, and still it wasn't enough, right? And then we, I've learned years later that it was really he has to kind of love himself in order to receive my love. But I want to ask you, this is my final question. I want to ask you, after so many years of participating in rejuvenating and revitalizing and seeing it gone, how would you define love yourself? And then how would you encourage others to find their own definition of love? That works for them.
Great question. I used to ask this question to college students in human sexuality. I would ask them to define love to me. Okay. And they would look in the textbook, Google, and I said, put the damn phones down. Don't look in the textbook. Tell me what it is. Because I tell people, number one, you can look at what the technical psychobabble is. It's a feeling.
Yeah.
So it's hard to describe. It's a feeling. And love, to me, if you want to get, personally, we'll talk, it's about me. Love is about being able to laugh and joke around with each other, not getting so defensive, being able to talk about anything, being able to be deep and to share, wants, needs, if you're hurt, to be compassionate, to understand and actually ask, what's going on? What happened to you? How did this affect you? Instead of the blowing up or it's all about you type of thing. It's about, the true essence of a partnership, mind, body, heart, and soul. And, it's just about, it's that vibe you have with each other. It's feeling safe, feeling like, and that doesn't mean you can't, I want someone that I can call your shit out. You can call my shit out. And like I said, I'm not perfect. I want to own what I do and, that you learn and grow together. And you're not afraid of that you own your sexuality, you own what you feel, and you're not trying to run or hide from it. And I'm not talking perfection, even though it sounds like it. It's not what I'm talking about.
I like it a lot. And gosh, we went well over an hour. So thank you.
Oh, I do. Yeah, I do.
Anybody that's watching this, go ahead.
Go right ahead. No, you're fine.
I was saying, I encourage all of our viewers. My phone is blowing up. I'm not usually unavailable for an hour, and so everybody's going crazy. But I want to encourage all of our viewers to grab the book, read it, watch Greg's shows, because I myself, who have been studying relationships and have been practicing and coaching, I gain something from every single time. I've watched his lives and a lot of his posts, as well as reading the book, was really enlightening. And I'm going to look forward to reading it again. A little less rushed this time. I got really excited about it and wanted to interview you. And then I rushed through the rest of the book. So I'm going to read it again, but it's got lots of highlights and things because it was just so valuable. And I encourage everybody to check that out.
Tanika,
thank you, Greg, for your time.
I'm very humbled, very flattered. Thank you so much. Okay.
Oh, you deserve all the kudos in the world. I have to get back to the real world.
I know. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you so much for having me on and letting me interview you on your own show.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much.
Talk soon again, I hope.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thank you, Greg.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.